Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. More than any other sport, the Major League Baseball umpire plays a pivotal role in determining the outcome of a baseball game, calling balls and strikes, out or no out on the bases, catch or no catch in the field, and who better to provide insight on that than retired veteran umpire Dale Scott. He spent 31 seasons as a Major League umpire, part of a crew for 3 World Series contests, 91 playoff series overall, and 3 All-Star games. And he's here today to call balls and strikes. So let's bring him on. Hi, Dale. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And it's an honor to speak to you. I mean, we focus so much on the players, but, the umpire, I feel, is just part of the nostalgia of baseball more than the game itself in a way, just in terms of pine tar or the green monster at Fenway Park. I mean, umpires, this is so part of the game where it's just like, sometimes people want to watch the umpire in certain situations more than the players.
Well, umpires are, they've been called necessary evils, I guess, because it's really tough to, or any sports official, it's really tough to have a game without us. We're certainly not the game, but like I said, it's pretty tough to have one without us.
Now, maybe just give us a little background, like maybe where you came from, where you grew up, and what led you to eventually becoming a major league umpire.
Sure. Yeah. I grew up in Eugene, Oregon. I live in Portland now. I was I loved baseball growing up. I pretty much was confident that I was going to be the first baseman for the Dodgers. That was soon realized that wasn't going to happen. I didn't have the skills for that. I guess if you want to play baseball, you got to be able to hit, run, throw, or catch, and I couldn't do any of them. So what do I do after that? So when I was 15, a friend of mine suggested about going to umpiring. He did it the summer before. It was a good way to make some money, and it was a way to stay involved with the game. And I thought, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I certainly sitting on the bench all those games when I did play, I got to see the umpires quite a bit. So I went ahead and started when I was 15 and absolutely loved it. Fell in love with it. Something that it's not for everybody, obviously, but it was in my blood, and I just went after it. I was 15 when I started. I went to umpire school when I was 21. I also officiated at the high school level, football and basketball, for 18 years. But baseball was the one that I was most into, and after going to umpire school and finishing 5th in my class and moving on to the advanced school, and then finally getting a job in the minor leagues in 1981.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I did 2 years of Little League and I was terrible. So, don't feel bad at all.
But you know what it's like. It's not easy.
No, especially ground. They put me at third base. It's like, I was like the lesser of 2 evils. So they put me at third base, but I was still terrible. So yeah, unfortunately.
Well, it's like when I played, I was terrible. They would try to hide me in right field and hope nobody hit it out there. And of course, they always seem to hit it out there. So there you have it.
Gotcha. Now, you mentioned before growing up a Dodgers fan, that actually kind of was going to be one of the questions that I was going to ask. I mean, when they're putting crews together for games, I mean, does it matter? Do they actually ask you, hey, are you a fan of this team? And if so, are you allowed to call those games? Because I know if I was a Yankee game, I don't know if I could call that straight.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I was a Dodger fan, but once I started working baseball, professional baseball, my first year in the Northwest League, Bellingham, Washington had a A-ball club that was a Dodger affiliation. And I quickly learned that those Dodger players, those A-ball Dodger players yelled at me just like everybody else. So a lot of people say, how can you do this? How can you not root for a team? You really don't. I mean, maybe that's part of why this job isn't for everybody. But once you get ingrained in, I got into professional baseball, I realized that, it doesn't matter who the teams are. It doesn't matter the situation. All you're trying to do is get pitches and plays right. That's what you strive to do every time you walk out there. And so you quickly lose all those, the leashes to teams that you used to have or whatever. Those are gone. It's purely you're purely seeing the game from a completely different perspective and doing a completely different job than a fan or a player. And it makes it very unique. It makes it very challenging, as you know, and in your little league days. One thing I loved about umpiring baseball is it's the same game every day, but every single day you never know what you're going to get. You could go out there and have a no-hitter. You could go out there and have a 15-11 game. You could go out there and have a triple play or two obstructions. When do you see obstruction? You might have two of them. Who knows? You never know what you're going to get. And so the challenge of that every day, trying to meet the challenge of whatever is thrown at you and try to do it correctly. Try not to make mistakes, try not to miss calls. It really is something that just really appealed to me. There's times that I've walked off the field and I've had a player, a fan, or whatever, but more on-field personnel, player, a coach, or something. Hey, Dale, good job. And I'll think in my mind, you know what? I don't think I had a good job today. There was a couple things I could have done differently, or I should have done differently. Conversely, I've walked off the field when both dugouts are on fire and they wanted to string you up. But I know deep down I did a great job for the situation I was given, whatever that might have been. So it's not always you've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to be able to look in the mirror and say, hey, did you do what you needed to do in that particular situation that got heated or whatever? Or could you have done something different to make this the outcome a little bit better? And so that, if you can't be honest with yourself and understand that, yes, you do make mistakes. Yes, you need to learn from them. We don't get all the plays right. And any umpire or sports official says, oh, I didn't miss a pitch. I didn't miss, I don't think they're being quite honest sometimes. I'm not saying you don't go out there and, I've had games where I didn't miss a play. I may not have had very many plays, but I surely didn't miss them. But you just need the honesty there. If you can't be honest with yourself, you certainly can't do well at this profession.
Gotcha. Now, so you say you broke in with the minors around 21. So I guess by 1985 was your first season as a major league umpire?
1985 was my first game in the major leagues. I was a AAA umpire, and I went up to Kansas City to there was a makeup game from an earlier rainout earlier in the season. This was in August of 85. And so I got to work my very first major league game during the season. I had already worked American League spring training. But my first full season was 1986.
Okay. And that first game itself, do you remember any details of it, or just sort of like this so focused on like traveling, getting there, and this kind of?
Well, it was a lot of times when you're in AAA and you're getting called up, it's a sudden thing. Somebody got hurt or something, and you're working a AAA game somewhere, and when you walk off the field, you get a message, hey, you got to be in Detroit tonight or tomorrow because so and so broke his ankle or whatever. My situation was a little bit different on my first game. It was a makeup game of a rainout. It was a situation where both teams were coming into Kansas City just for the one game makeup game, and then both teams were leaving. So it wasn't a series or anything like that. It was Detroit at Kansas City. And so they told me about 4 or 5 days ahead of time, hey, August 19th, you're going to be in Kansas City. You'll work third base. It's a makeup game. It's the only game you're working. Just take your base stuff, and then you're going back to Omaha when you're done. I do remember it, though. You never forget your first game in the big leagues. It was Detroit who were the world champions in 84, and then they were playing Kansas City, who ended up being the world champions in 85. So two pretty good teams. I had third base. I really only had 2 calls the entire game. I had a check swing and a fair foul call. It went extra innings. It went, I think, 10 innings, and I had a fair foul call in the 10th inning. So that was about the two big calls I had. But it was quite an experience, and certainly one I'll never forget.
Now, in terms of all the positions, I guess you would say be behind the plate. Would that be your favorite? I would assume, yeah. But do you have, a favorite spot you'd like to be the most, a favorite job?
The good thing is we work all of them because they're all different. They all present different challenges. Obviously, behind the plate, you're involved with every pitch. You're running the game. Everyone's focused on you, basically. But every position has its challenges. First base, you have a lot of plays at first, close plays at first. You have pickoff plays and those types of things. Second base, you have steal plays. Second base, you also, with nobody on, you're out in the shallow center field and you're going out on balls and possible traps or spectator interference stuff or home run. Is it a home run? Is it not a home run? That kind of stuff. Both first and third, you have fair foul possibilities, and of course you have the pole bender home runs or foul ball type thing. Third base, a lot of times somebody will say, "Oh, you got third base, you got the day off." Well, not so much. You may have a very quiet day, but that one call you have might be in the ninth inning on a fair foul or a play at third base that is huge in the game, and so you have to be ready at all times. So, and of course, then you have possible steal plays at third and those types of things. So you have challenges everywhere. It's good that you work all four. You would get burned out if you're working the plate all the time. So I don't know if I have a favorite. I'm just glad that I got to rotate every game and work all of them.
I'm watching on TV and even on the replays, I can't even get it right. Like, how do you train your mind to catch the ball? Did he hit the glove? Did he get the guy in the finger for the Is there a way you train to look at those things and be able to make a snap decision? Which is
right. Well,
usually over most of the time.
Yeah, usually they say third base is the day off because second base certainly is not a day off. Steal plays are some of the toughest plays that we have. They're almost always close, and it's a skill of to out of your peripheral, or at least you hear that the runner's running, but you still have to be set because the ball might be hit. Once the ball is not hit, you're moving, but still keeping your eye on the ball and the catcher for the throw, because you don't want to direct yourself to second because the catcher may have a bad throw and hit you. But once he releases the ball and it's a true throw, then you have to bring your eyes ahead of the throw and pick up the fielder's glove because that's where the action is going to take place. And if you follow the ball the entire way, it's going to blow up on you once the ball is caught because it's just all going to happen at once. So once the ball's on its way and you see it's a good throw, now you bring your eyes ahead of the throw, pick up the glove, and then try to make the determination if the tag was made, and if it was it before he got to the base or hasn't been to the base. But sometimes the throw's a little bit off, and now he's doing a swipe tag off the base, or there's the runner might be trying to slide a little bit differently, whatever. I mean, so things can happen, and you just have to be prepared for them. But the key is to get your eyes ahead of the throw, pick up the glove, and also on any call, whether it's pitches or plays, another key for umpiring is timing. Take your time. Do not call it fast. Let the play happen. Let the play finish. Then make your call, because 9 times out of 10, if your timing is too quick, you're going to have problems. You're going to be calling things before they happen, or you're calling a guy out when the ball leaves trickles out of the fielder's glove or something. So you really want to slow down and take your time and let it happen.
I appreciate it. It's great insight. And the next game I watch, I'll see if I can do it. Because usually you follow the ball the whole way and you're like, what happened? You can't even tell.
Right.
And just getting into some of the positions, obviously in the playoffs and World Series, they bring some extra umpires for on the field. One thing I always felt is shouldn't they be consistent the whole game? Either do that the whole season or don't do that the whole season. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, they're not going to. I can tell you right now, just money wise, they'll never go to 6 men all season. Although we would love it. They do add a couple guys for postseason, for all-star games and that kind of stuff. And it's a luxury. It helps cut down on the rotations within the infield when you have outfield umpires, so you don't have to go out on certain balls that normally you would go out on. For example, a fair foul down either line, the first or third base umpire, they don't have to deal with that because you have your line umpires down there. Although they still want to still be watching, because sometimes if the ball is hit right at the left field umpire, he's got to get out of the way, or if it's right at his feet, and sometimes that could cause where he doesn't see it as well as he could have, because it's first thing in the umpire, you don't want to get hit by the ball. So that's probably a key. But yeah, it's good to have extra umpires because it helps with the rotations and how your mechanics on the field and how you cover certain situations, and it gives you a better coverage for all the bases and all of your potential outfield plays.
Okay, so now you're in the major leagues for a couple of seasons. In 1988, you have a run-in with a Yankee legend, Billy Martin, and you're credited with being the last person to eject him from a game, which he's probably ejected from a bunch of them. Do you remember the situation surrounded it? Why you ended up yanking him?
Yeah, well, I remember really well. It was Memorial Day, '88. It was in Oakland. It was a 5:00 start. I was at first base. Rick Reed, great umpire, great person who just passed away a few weeks ago. He was at second base, and it was the bottom of the third inning. Walt Weiss was the leadoff hitter for Oakland. It was his rookie year. He hit a line drive near the ground to Bobby Meacham at second base, and there was a question of did he catch it on the fly or did it skip into his glove? From first, Rick had it skipping. He had no catch from first base. It looked like it skipped. Meacham, even if we were wrong, he thought he caught it, obviously, but even if we were wrong, he could have just glanced up and if he saw Rick, because one that close, you want to make sure that you're on the same page with the umpire. If he would have seen Rick call no catch, he could have thrown out Weiss by 30 feet. I mean, it would have been a no-brainer to get him out anyway. But he didn't even look. He just started throwing it around the horn like no problem. I caught it. Well, we had no catch. So Weiss was safe at first, and of course, here comes the argument. So Billy comes running out of the first base dugout. He comes running by me as he's going to Rick, and he said, "You saw him catch the ball." And I said, "No, Billy, he trapped it as he was running out." So he was having an argument with Rick. Richie Garcia was the plate umpire. John Hirschbeck was at third base. They kind of drifted over. I was over on the peripheral, just standing there minding my own business. And suddenly, Billy turned around to me and he said, "You saw him catch the ball." And I said, "No, Billy, he trapped it." And he said, "You're full of blah, blah, blah." Anytime you personalize it, he could have said, "Oh, that's full of blah, blah, blah. That's fine." But he said, "You're full of blah, blah, blah." Yeah. That's personalized. Boom, you're ejected. So I ejected him, and he went off. He was trying to kick dirt on me. The infield dirt had been watered down to keep the dust down at the beginning of the game, and it was still kind of damp, so he couldn't get any dirt going. In fact, one time he just barely nicked my leg as he was kicking. So I was pointing. I said, "Billy, you kicked me, Billy. You just kicked me." Well, after about 2 or 3 kicks and he couldn't get any dirt, he just bent down and picked up a whole pile of it and he just threw it right on my chest. Yeah. So that was my ejection of Billy Martin. He ended up being suspended for, I think, 3 days. He had a run-in the week before down in Texas, I believe, with Tim Welke, another umpire. And so he was kind of on probation. And so by him doing that, the league said, "Okay, that's it." They sat him down. He came back. He managed, another 3 or 4 weeks, and then Steinbrenner fired him. You can usually get a sense when a manager's either out there just because he's protecting his player, or he's out there because he's trying to get guys fired up, a team or the fans if he's at home, or that he's just really, really not happy with whatever's happening. We have a lot less arguments now because of replay, and so arguments now are usually focused on balls and strikes or check swings. And sometimes on plays, but a lot of times now on a play, we just go to replay. And once we, get the decision from replay, most of the times, even though they still may not agree, most of the times they just let it go. One of my favorite ones where it was when Terry Collins used to manage the Mets, but back in the 90s, he managed the Angels. And we were in Anaheim. I was at second base. They were playing Toronto. The Angels, after like 3 innings, were up 10-0. Well, now we're like in the 7th inning, and it's 10-9. And I had nobody on. I had a fly ball out at the wall. There was a question of did a fan interfere or was it a home run? I called spectator interference. I said it was not a home run. It was below the fence line, and we gave him 2 bases. It was an Angel hitter. So he comes running out for the dugout, and it's 10-9 now in the 7th inning. I'm figuring I'm going to have a pretty good argument. And as he's approaching me, and now we're kind of in shallow center field, as he's approaching me, he goes, I said, "Terry," he reached down below the fence line. That's spectator interference. He goes, "I don't care." He goes, "We're terrible." And I kind of looked, he goes, "I can't believe this." And it looks like he's just chewing me a new one, right? He goes, "I can't believe this. This is ridiculous. We have a 10-0 lead, 10-0 lead. And now it's 10-9. Can you believe it? We are terrible." And he goes, "You're going to have to throw me out. You're going to have to throw me out." And I said, "Well, Terry, if you want to get thrown out, you better do something." "Oh, you want me to do something?" He takes his hat and he throws his hat. So I eject him, and he goes, there, I did something. And you know what really sucks is that I get to go and you have to stay here and watch this blank. So, and off you went. Now, I'm trying not to laugh, but the fans there, all the Angel fans, they're all cheering and cheering. And they just thought, man, Terry just chewed him a new one. Look at him go after him, and this and that. Where in reality, that's what was happening. So that's rare. Usually they are mad or whatever. But that was one of my favorite ones where a guy that specifically was out there because they had almost given up a 10-run lead, and he just wanted to fire up not only his team but his home fans to, maybe rally him to a victory here. So that was pretty funny.
Now, obviously, you have a long, distinguished career, 31 Major League Baseball seasons. But obviously, I want to get into some Yankee moments. You were part of 3 crews for 3 World Series, doing the 1998 for the 98 Yankees. Fortunately for you, you didn't have to be behind the plate. Game 1, that 2-2 pitch that Rich Garcia called the ball. And then, of course, next pitch, Tino Martino's hits a grand slam. I mean, just being on the field, I watched on TV, the place exploded. Do you remember how that was? Because I remember the beers getting thrown out of the stands and the place is rocking.
Well, playoff baseball is just a whole different intensity. I don't care what stadium you're at, but there are certain ones where it's just notched up to even more. And certainly Yankee Stadium is one of those. I've had 2 World Series involve the Yankees. And the most memorable, frankly, is the 2001, right after 9/11 and that entire thing. And Game 3, the first game in Yankee Stadium, I was behind the plate, and President Bush threw out the first pitch in that game. It was just an amazing moment and an amazing series. But the intensity and it's loud and it's intense. I had the American League Championship Series in '96 when Jeffrey Meyer reached out. I was at first base when that happened, and I'll never forget about an inning later, between innings, Richie Garcia was, of course, the right field umpire, and it's between innings, and we're standing kind of shallow right field, and right next on the outfield side of the Yankee dugout is where all the baseball brass, the league president and the head of the umpire supervisors and a couple other office people sat right there on the front row. And Richie said, see our front office? I looked over and they were gone. The seats were empty. And I go, where'd they go? And Richie goes, I'll tell you where they went. They went into our locker room trying to formulate what they're going to say when this game's over, because there's got a lot of explaining to do, obviously. So, the intensity of these stadiums, the last playoff game I ever had was that insane game in Toronto with Texas, Game 5 of the ALDS, and the Batista hit, and I mean the decibels of that. Of course, the roof was closed, but the decibels of that stadium, Sky Dome that night was absolutely insane. So yeah, it certainly is memorable. I've been very blessed, very fortunate to have many postseason moments, and it's just, there's nothing quite like it, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that Game 3 in 2001 with the president on the field and kind of
Right.
fear. Is it going to be another attack on New York? I mean, how was the atmosphere that night? Were people nervous, scared, or you just kind of felt confident? Hey, we got the president here, and they're going to have secret security, and they're going to have the planes, and we'll be okay. I mean,
I'll tell you, it was incredible. The security that night was incredible. Now, Yankee Stadium, Major League Baseball and all the stadiums has very, very good security. But there are certain stadiums that are even very, very good security plus. And Yankee Stadium's one of them, Dodger Stadium's one of them. But that night was insane. At Old Yankee Stadium, we used to walk in at the press gate. There was security there. They let us in. We go down a flight of stairs. There's security at the bottom of the stairs. We go down a long hallway, then another longer hallway, and then we take a right, and there's the Yankee clubhouse that we walk by, and there's security there. And then we go another, 40 yards, and then it's our umpire locker room, and there's a security guy there. That's a normal night. On the night that President Bush was there, we went through metal detectors like everyone else, and that there was security at the top of the stairs. We go to the bottom of the stairs, there was security. This long hallway, there was security. There was a security person every 10 feet, just standing there. And then the next long hallway, every 10 feet, they're standing there. Then I take a right, there's the Yankee clubhouse. There was twice the security that there usually is just outside the clubhouse. Then there were security all the way to the umpire room, where we usually have one guy. There was two guys stationed there. And then when I got there that night, I walk in and here's a gentleman sitting in our locker room who I don't know who he is. He introduced himself. He's a Secret Service agent. He's going to dress as an umpire. And when we walk on the field for the first pitch, he's going to be standing with us with an umpire jersey and everything on. But we saw what he had underneath. He had a bulletproof vest. He had two guns. He had handcuffs. Of course, he had an earpiece. There was also a Secret Service agent dressed as a Yankee groundskeeper, one of the groundskeepers, with the same type of thing. It looks just like a normal groundskeeper. Underneath, he had all this artillery and communications.
Yeah, we'll skip ahead really quick. It's 2017. You got a couple of concussions, and you feel it's the time to walk away from the game. Was it tough for you to leave?
Well, I was planning on the 2019 season to be my last season. I turned 60 in August of 2019. In fact, my birthday's tomorrow, as a matter of fact. But I figured 2019 would be my last year. Well, when I got hit in early 2017, my fourth concussion, I had, it was my second one in 8 months. It was this one, the first time I'd ever had whiplash, and I was going through physical therapy for that. I just thought, what am I doing here? I'm so close to retirement, and I know umpires that have had concussion issues for the rest of their lives, headaches, trouble sleeping, memory issues, and I seeked out and talked to 3 different specialists as I was recovering, and that helped me make the decision that, I've had a great career. It's been a great run, but just I was ready to walk away. I just thought that why the thing that kept pressing to me was, if I go back to work once I'm recovered and I get hit again, how do I defend that to myself? It's like, Dale, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? You've worked World Series. You're a crew chief. You've basically done everything you can do at the major league level and had a great career.
I appreciate coming on, giving us a full 9 innings. You even give us like an extra inning or two. So I really appreciate your time.
We hate extra innings.
So in closing, even though you're retired, can you give us a strikeout call?
Well, people love my strike 3 call, and so I just like, boom, you gotta punch them off to the side.
Gotcha. I appreciate your time, Dale. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.